All right, I am testing a new charger that I just got. This will be used for the Delta Trike that I built 2023. This is a golf cart charger made for lithium iron phosphate batteries. So this is literally the first time I'm testing it with these batteries, and we'll see if it works or if it just catches on fire. Stay tuned. Okay, start time is 5:15. This is 3 batteries wired in parallel. I'll try to find the specs on the batteries later. Got these used from batteryhookup.com. The batteries, the BMSs have 2 ports. There's a charge port and a load port. Let's see. The charge port this is a smaller Anderson connector. Well, smaller is relative, I guess. That's the new Anderson I'm putting on for the charge port. So it's I don't know. This is the new Anderson. I think they call it power pole. Fairly small. And then that's the charge port that was on it. And then, for reference, if you know what an XT60 is, that's the 3 together. All right. And then I compare this one. Sorry for the vertigo. This is an SB50. This is the older style Anderson. You can see it's just ginormous compared. All right. This is complete overkill for this application, I think. But that's what they put on there. All right, so that's that. And then I got this. I've actually had it for a month or two, I think. But this is a golf cart charger for lithium batteries. It is actually putting out 15 or 16 amps right now, and it's rated for lithium iron phosphate, which is what these are. So that's good. Great big cooling fan on the top, and this whole charger is a heat sink. It's just massive. So I don't expect it to get warm. This is way less battery capacity than what the charger is expecting. The way this is set up, the charger doesn't really have a lot of its own electronics, I guess would be the way to control circuit. It's got its own internal control, but it's expecting that the batteries have a battery management system on them, which these do. So that's what I did today, was hook up these little ports. The Andersons are to the charging side of the BMS. This BMS has a charger port and a load port, discharge port. Okay. I cut off the blue connectors on all 3 batteries, put on the little Anderson connectors, and then I don't want to cut the connector off of the charger yet until I know it's actually going to work. So in the meantime, I'm just using this screw terminal to a pigtail that goes to all 3 batteries. So what I've been doing lately is, I don't know if this is kosher or not, but it works, using wire nuts. So I'll strip all of the wire ends and twist them together and then put the nuts on it, and that's right there. And then I run a bunch of electrical tape around it. I don't think you're supposed to use wire nuts on stranded wire, but it's the best I've got right now. Otherwise, I'm like, okay, so I'm taking 3 leads from 3 batteries plus 1 lead that goes to the chargers. I have 4 12-gauge wires, and they're all connected together. So I guess if I had a crimp wire splice, I guess would work. If you had one that could handle all 4 wires at the same time, would probably be better. And then put heat shrink on it. So in this case, the wire nuts basically are working, so you get them all twisted on there, and then you tug them a little bit to make sure they're working, and that's it. Okay, so that seems like it's going to work. So when I know this is going to work reliably, Then I can permanently mount the charger on the Trike. This is for the Trike, which is sitting outside. I'm at the motel again, so this is a nice ceramic tile floor, so if it catches on fire, hopefully it won't burn a hole through the floor. Always a possibility. Yeah, that's kind of it. So it's been going for 10 minutes now. This was fully charged a few days ago, and then I rode it 12 miles. The batteries have about almost enough capacity to go to 24 miles, 25 miles, basically from the motel to home and back to the motel. The last time I tested it, I came up about a mile short. So it's good enough for one way, it's just not quite enough for round trip is the issue. So the Trike at full throttle can pull up to 15 amps, and it takes me about an hour to get here. So if this takes an hour at 15 amps to put 15 amps back into the battery, it shouldn't take an hour. However, what I'm thinking is when it gets close to voltage, then it'll have to start throttling the charger. So I'm kind of waiting to see what that's going to do. So what I've been doing, take my clamp meter on my amp multimeter and see if I can do this one-handed. I'll go up to here at the 40 amp one, which is probably not focused. And if I come down, oops, that's not working. There we go. Yeah, I'm getting 16 amps right now. Okay, it's not exactly centered, but it's pretty close. So that's good. It's giving me more than 15 amps, assuming the multimeter is somewhat reliable. And what I could do if I had a long enough lead, it's like these connectors are right up against the box. They're too short, so I can't really get in there. If I could measure the amps at each battery, and I should be getting approximately 5 amps per battery if it's 15 amps coming in, and assuming they're somewhat balanced. It's a bit of a guess. The batteries are used, they were sold surplus, which means they probably had something wrong with them, or maybe the project ended. That's a possibility too. Whatever these were made for, could have been a prototype or something. So when I'm running it, they're in parallel to each other. So if one battery is not good, that could be affecting the other two. And when I'm charging them in parallel. So, if one battery is bad, could be a problem. The good news is each of the 3 batteries has its own battery management circuit. So if things get really whacked, that battery should just disconnect itself, assuming it's any good. These have, I think it's the Dali BMS. I opened it up and looked a while ago. So in theory, that's good. I think they can handle a 10 amp charge per battery. So I can't hook the charger just up to one battery. That was one of the ideas I was thinking. If I charged one battery at a time, then I could fully charge each battery and then join them. But with that being a 15 amp charger, it's more than what the battery can handle. So by putting all 3 together, I could do 2 batteries together, but then the other one wouldn't get charged. So, yeah. Earlier, I was also charging these backwards through the discharge port, which not ideal because the BMS isn't expecting a charge from the wrong port, and it wouldn't have any idea to shut the port off it when it's fully charged. And since the charger is assuming that the BMS is going to take care of that, it wouldn't know. All right. So I was using my e-bike charger, which I can set to a specific voltage where it's going to stop. And then as it gets up to that voltage, it tapers off the charge. So not ideal, but I felt like it was relatively safe. So yeah, work within it. The other option, if I didn't have this way to do it, I could bulk charge with this and then shut this off and then put the other charger back on, which can do a better job of trickle charging as it gets up to the top. So that would be an option also. Yeah, anyway, that is that. I'll come back when it's done. So I'm going 15 minutes now. It's a flashing red light, in case the color throws off a little bit. It's supposed to go yellow when it's about half full, and then green when it's finished. And I think by the time it goes green, then the fan will shut off. So I'll kind of keep an eye out for that, and then we'll go from there. And hopefully it works, because if this works automatically and safely and reliably, I could plug it in and just walk away, which is always sketchy when you're working with especially used or unreliable or unknown lithium batteries. I try to always charge them when I'm close by. So if this starts working, what I'm looking to do, now that we're into March, I could ride the Trike from home to work every day and then go home at the end of the day. Because what I've been doing up until now, I'm in a spare room at the motel that we're using for storage, and I've been just living at the motel. But if I could go home every night, that would be great. So go home, especially on a day like today. I could have left at 2 o'clock. I would have been home in plenty of time. I could have used solar power to recharge the Trike, and then had enough power to get back here, and then charge the Trike here again. Okay, so if I got this to the point that it's going to work, then I could plug it in and work and not look at it, and then walk over and check it once an hour and see if it's done. Plus I'll have a better idea, how long should it take? You know, I could set myself an alarm on the phone, check it in an hour, it should be done. You know, once we get to that point, mount the charger on the bike somewhere, and then I can just pull up next to a plug-in, charge it up, unplug it, wrap up the cord, leave the charger on the bike all the time, which would be nice, because if you don't have to keep unplugging the connectors all the time, they'll last forever. If you sit there and unplug them 100 times, that's when you start to break them and stuff. So yeah, it's both of the Andersons, the old ones and the new ones, you know, the big SB50s, and then the smaller power poles, they're very robust, very strong connection. But if you have to sit there and undo it and redo it all the time, you end up breaking the wires eventually, because it's, you know, it takes a lot of force to push them on and off, you know, which is good. They don't fall off accidentally, but it's bad if you're trying to connect them all the time. So yeah, at least they're not fragile like USB or something like that. Let's see, looking at it. Yeah, I know this is riveted footage. Okay, it's still putting 16 amps in it, so it'll be a while. Okay, literally 2 minutes after I put the camera down. Oh. It's gonna mess with me. The green light was on and the fan stopped. So what I'm wondering is if the 3 batteries are not quite in sync, it would be enough for the BMS to kick off, the charger would kick off, and then the batteries would equalize behind the scenes. So nothing's on fire, it's not hot. For the heat to come through the metal box, it would be pretty bad, but at least I'd know something was wrong. Okay, so at least that did shut itself off. I'm just gonna let it run. It's 5:30 in the PM zone now. So I think I'm just going to let it run and keep an eye on it and let it keep charging. You know, so if it goes green and then goes back to charging again, we'll just let it keep doing that for a while. I've got, well, it's got like about 52 or 53 volts going in, which on a 53 volt, or it's a 48 volt battery, but fully charged it would be about 51 point something or 52. So whatever the BMS is set at, I kind of have to just let it find its own happy place and then check it. Yeah. Anyway, it's different from the e-bike batteries, which are lithium ion. So these are lithium iron phosphate. So it's different chemistry, different charge points. They're approximately the same voltage though, you know, within a couple. So it does make it confusing when I'm riding the bike. I'm looking at the voltage and, you know, it's like, is that good or is it bad? I'm not sure, you know. And then the bike itself doesn't know the difference, and so it'll just, and the bike will also shut off the battery when it gets too low to protect it. So, yeah, just to add to the confusion. Anyway, it did stop charging once, so at least I know that the battery charger is doing what it's supposed to. So I think we're on the right track. Okay, it's about an hour and a half after I started charging, and the charger has come on and off a few times. Every time it seems to be coming on a little bit shorter of a time and longer time in between them. So since the charger itself can't taper off the charge, the BMS is doing it on its own, which is fine. So now I know if I ride from home to work, within an hour, hour and a half, this will be charged enough to go home, which is good enough, right? So get to work, plug it in, within an hour, it'll be charged. I can make, because I don't need 100% to get home, basically. So that's good. So same thing, if I get home, especially if I get home an hour or two before sunset, I could plug it in to the main solar system at home, recharge it, and I got enough to get back to work the next day. So that's all we need. Also, when I go home for my day off, I can plug the system directly into one of the solar panel arrays. I've got one that's not working right now. I got a bad wire, so I can just plug the Trike into that panel with my solar charger from the electric bike, and just leave it sitting all day and it'll recharge itself. And then I think what I'll do is the day before I go back to work, because I'll have a week off usually, then I can plug this in and just let it top off, and then I know I'm good to go. So that should be it. Success. Anyway, this is what the charger looked like. Not sponsored. I found this one on Amazon. I'll post a link if you're interested. I don't get nothing for it, but it does seem like it works and it's a good solution. And my e-bike charger only put out 4 amps, and this is putting out 15 or better. I saw 16, so it's just that much faster, which is a good option. This would not work with the e-bike battery directly, but if I wanted to, I could manually charge it, just kind of keep an eye on it, and it should work just fine. I'm not sure what the BMS is rated for on my e-bike though, so that might be a problem. I'll have to look into that. But if I could bulk charge at 15 amps for 15 or 20 minutes, that might give me a good boost. And then finish off on the other charger. Might be an option. Anyway, this is what the batteries look like that I'm using on the Trike. I don't think there was any more of these available. I bought 2 and then went back the next day and bought 1 more. And had I thought about it, I would have gotten a 4th one. But I'm not sure if there was any available when I did that, so I can't remember. And, you know, they were just enough money that I didn't want to go just buying a whole bunch of them. That's the tricky bit when you're working the surplus parts like that. By the time you know you like it, you can't go back and get any more. I've got a few things that I've bought like this that you get them and they don't really work for what you wanted them to do, so then you're looking for something else to use them for. Yeah, anyway, that's that. Nice to see something that works like it's supposed to. Yay. All right, thanks for watching.